This is a human biped rig, and this is a character called Heavy, taken from a video game. And he is another free rig available on the web. And the reason I've picked this one is partly because it's rather new and fun, but also because it's quite realistic in a sense, and it could be used for a video game reel should you be interested in applying for work. For video game work. And since we're going to do a walk cycle, that's the kind of thing you'd want on a reel for applying for video games, so I think this is a nice choice for that purpose. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you where to find it. So as before, we go to Google, and I'm going to go type Heavy Maya rig and see what comes up. And there we go. The first result is Creative Crash. And here it is. If we scroll down, there he is, Heavy Character Rig 1.00, and it's from the video game series Team Fortress. Now, the license type is freeware, so it's a free rig. We should, of course, give credit to Sachin Pokhriyal, who created it, and also to Team Fortress for presumably not minding it being used by students and by people learning Maya. I say this because there don't seem to be any objections to it, so we assume that they don't mind. Of course, there's always the possibility that they might mind at some stage, but for now they don't seem to. And the license is freeware. You always want to give credit where it's due, so make sure if you use this character on your reel, that you put with thanks at the end of the reel to the creator. Okay, so you should know by now how to download these character rigs from Creative Crash, so I won't go into that, but you log in, you download, it's pretty straightforward. Then what you want to do is copy it to your folder. So what I'm going to do now is minimize that, go back to the rig here, and as usual, we're going to create a new project. So I'm going to go File, Project Window, and I'm going to click New, and I'm going to go to Heavy Walk Cycle. That's what I'm going to call it. And accept all the subfolders. And now we're going to set to that project. So I go File, Set Project, and it should be here, Heavy Walk Cycle. There we go. And Set. And now we should be saved to the correct place. Now I'm just going to check to make sure that the textures have been dropped in the source image folder. Heavy does come with textures, so we want to make sure that those are in the source image folder. And if I go to the place where I've got this rig stored, I note that there are actually a number of textures here. So what I'm going to do is copy all of those textures. That I'm going to copy that whole folder there, texture. I'm going to copy it, go to Edit, Copy, and I'm going to paste that in the correct folder. So I'm going to go to Documents, Maya, Projects. Where is he? Heavy Walk Cycle, and I'm going to go to Source Images, and I'm going to Control V, paste all of those textures. Hopefully it's going to work. Wait a minute. Great. Okay, that's happened successfely. Okay, great. So source images. So the textures are in the source images folder, and hopefully that will mean that if I hit 6 on my keyboard, they're successfully connected up, when actually they're not. So what we may have to do is we may have to manually connect them up later at some stage. But for now, we're not that interested in the textures. We just want to get to know how the rig is working. So what we'll do is, first of all, go into the outliner, just check what we've got there. Now the outliner is a bit of a mess, what we want to do is we should really get everything into one one place. So what I'm going to do is select all of those elements and press Control G on my keyboard, and what that will do is group everything in one place. Control G. So I'm going to call that group heavy. So now if we open that up, we should find that everything is inside. Now we probably would want to do it a bit more tidily than that, but that will do for now. That at least gets everything in one place. Then the next thing we're going to do is select the gun. Let's see if I just open up that to see what's actually been selected. And I'm going to, let me just open up the world control. Okay, there it is. So it's gun handle, and I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to go to Control H, and that will grey out the gun handle, which you can see there. So that's now greyed out, and I'm going to close that up because we don't want the gun for this part of the exercise. Now the next thing to do is to figure out what all of these controls do, and then create some shelf tabs. So actually what we'll do is we'll create the shelf tabs as we go along, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you watch the video on shelf tabs so that you can refresh your memory. But basically we're going to go to this little pointy down arrow here on the top left hand side and go to New Shelf, and I'm going to call that new shelf Heavy. Click OK, and now we have a new, remember we created shelves for Monty, now we've got a new shelf for Heavy, and we're going to animate Heavy walking, so we just want to create controls for Heavy. So first of all we want to find the main root control, and that's most likely to be this arrow here. Remember on Monty the main root control was an arrow. Most rigs are designed in quite similar fashion, and there it is. So there's the main root control, and it's helpfully called root. So I'm just going to open up the script editor, pull it over to one side,